Díodit agus fáilte. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Currently working on these guys here, which is a frame with folding panels in it. It's for a period property. I have two sets to make, and it's just the whole purpose of doing a little series of videos on it is to highlight the importance of 90 degrees square in relation to what's called inset panels or doors. So we often don't give enough credence to the importance of 90 degrees and how important it becomes when we're doing multiples, not just a single door in a frame, but we're doing multiples. And you need absolute accuracy with that angle there, 90 degrees. So in order to start this process here, I have the frames made up in this case, and that's the finished example ready for polishing. We're going to go to one on my right hand side and just show how we need to set up square in the frame first, how we get the frame square. We've already the doors assembled obviously, and just the marking of the hinging and the process there to take them through to completion. So these guys here are hinged front and back, and they fold like so. And we've got a meeting rebated set of styles in the centre there for the doors. So we'll just take a look now. Just going to swivel the camera and we're going to take a look at the frame beside me here. Now here we have a frame. This is the second one. Now I've a lot of the work done on this as well, so I'm working retrospectively or working backwards. When we want to get 90 degrees in here on a large frame, we use what's called a diagonal rod, or a framing rod, or a squaring rod. Squaring rod, I should say. We take the diagonal distance in this direction, we take the diagonal distance in that direction, and literally then, this is when it's being clamped up, and we're in the assembly stage. We may end up with two marks. One diagonal is like that, the other diagonal is like that, and square is the line that's going to be in the centre. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So we may have to push the frame we may have to push it this way or that way in order to achieve that line there in the centre, and that's when we know to square. So I already have that determined. I have that determined on the rod here. That's the square line here, and if I check my diagonal along here, I'll just highlight the pencil on the mark. That's it there, right there, as you can see. That's it there, and I've got this frame. It's already squared and glued. It's a mortise and tenon joint as well, just to highlight the point. Now I've covered mortise and tenon, all the jointing in previous videos. We can show it again. So when we have achieved that mark, it's symmetrical both diagonals, then Shinné, that's it then from the point of view of the frame being square. If this is wrong, the frame is wrong, the panels going into it won't sit snugly or sweetly. So we're down to accuracy. This here again, 90 degrees, very important. We've all heard of Phthagoras when we go to school, and some people kind of cringe when they hear it. But Phthagoras was a hugely important figure in relation to his theorem. You know, we've heard the Phthagoras Theorem, the square of the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the squares on the other two sides. I'll go through the explanation of that at another time, but this is the usefulness of it, the fact that that angle there is 90 degrees. So that's its usefulness there when we put that square into play by using a diagonal rod. We also use the diagonal rod for the panels themselves. So we pop the panels in here. Just pop the panels in there now for a moment. I have a bit of char there. I've been hinging this, so I'm doing this video retrospectively where most of the work is done to it. So we'll pop the panels in here. You'll notice too that I have the panels marked. I identify the panels front and always on the front, or normally on the front, so I don't get them mixed up. And put them, in this case I have A, B, C and D. So I'll pop these guys in here, like so. Now, from the point of view of the hinging, I'm going to get a hinge here. The panels themselves, these panels, have also been squared using the diagonal rod. In other words, from there to there, the diagonal distances, to make sure they're absolutely 100%. They've been shot on the edges with a sharp plane to make sure that the edges meet up beautifully, and then they're in pairs obviously. So from the point of view of the panels themselves, I literally, come down this end, I literally just take that panel up there. I mark the length of a hinge. In this case I'm using brass butt hinges, 64mm. So I'll measure up the distance from the hinge there and so on. I'll do the very same thing from that end. To get the centre then, to get the central hinge there, normally just put the hinge there, take the distance from the tape there, and that'll give me 995 in this case. I'll get half that distance, give me half the hinge here, and I just measure out this one side of it there. I get one line, and then I put the hinge back up again, and then I get the second line. So that's just a fast way of doing it. You can get the centre, measure down halfway, only put on one mark, and then put the hinge up against it. Use the hinge to determine its length. Less you use the tape, the better, the more accurate it is. So that's marking the hinges here. In this case here, right in the middle, these hinges, they're going to fold backwards. So this panel is going to go in under the other one when it folds back. So the hinge is on the reverse side of the panel here. So they're already marked and they're already housed out. We show the housing on another little clip anyway. So the method of doing the housings. So they're marked, you mark one, this one, and you mark the marks from that line onto this one here. So we can do that just by turning them over and putting them upside down. So that's that one. I do exactly the same thing over there, and that means I've all the hinging done. So I have hinges on the back end here, 1, 2, 3. I have the 3 hinges onto the frame here, and it's a mirror image over here on this side. You'll notice that there's a gap. Before I come to that, we want an equal distance here from the bottom, so I've got a spacer that I push down there. Once I push that spacer down there, I can now transfer the marks from the hinge here onto the frame, so I have absolute accuracy. Same thing in the middle, same thing on the top. That gap is exactly the same as distance above the top and bottom. I'll use that guy again over this side to do exactly the same thing again. Now there's not much more to be said about what I'm doing here. That's the hinging process. We'll show the hinging on camera. So that's same technique applies over here. We bang this guy in here, spacer, and we mark our housing and our recesses there for the hinges. I've already got the hinges done there. Just have to take out. I haven't the frame finished. So you'll notice there's a gap in here in the middle. Normally, when there be two doors meeting together, the styles would have rebates on them. If they're solid and it's going to be sprayed or polished, I would normally have the extra meat on them here, the rebate part on them here. I'd make this rail wider. Because these are being sprayed, I'm actually adding on a piece. It's on the other frame that we had there, you may not have seen it, but I put a plant on, and because they're going to be a painted finish, spray painted finish, a colour, RAL colour, well then in that case we can actually plant it on after the fact. So it's a fast way of doing it. And if it was in the solid, being clear finished, I would actually I'd use a rebated style. So I'm just taking a little shortcut there, makes life a bit easier, that's all. So I've all them done. I've all the hinges marked. The next process we do then is we go to the router to do the housings. And that's now I've these pre-done, as I said, I'm working retrospectively. So we just show the router there, how we do the recesses there, and then how we clean them up. So that's coming up next. So Shin for now, that's it for now. It's long go fall, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.